Om Shanti, and good evening to everyone. Welcome to this evening session where we're going to explore a really, really beautiful topic on choosing dignity at every step. I'm really looking forward to exploring this topic with you because it sits very closely to my heart, and I think it holds such a deep sense of what carries us and nurtures us as we go forward. So, like always, I'm going to invite all of us to start off with a meditation, and let's enjoy this following meditation that was shared by someone. Okay, let me just get to my screen and then we get to it.
Sometimes, even those of us who've been on the spiritual path for a long time, we can see ourselves as ordinary. We may see ourselves as peaceful or loving. To you.
Sorry, I'm not getting the sound. I'll play
Whatever
it
you
again.
imagine it to be, but sit somewhere comfortable and secure. And feel that boat as it drifts.
Apologies for that. I don't know what happened, but we'll start again.
Sometimes, even those of us who've been on the spiritual path for a long time, we can see ourselves as ordinary. We may see ourselves as peaceful or loving or joyful, but do we truly see the extraordinary, beautiful, exquisite, powerful, divine beings that we are? This is a meditation on amplified soul consciousness. It's about giving yourself permission to stretch out of your comfort zone and see something extraordinary in yourself. So begin by taking a few slow, deep breaths. And feel yourself relaxing more and more deeply as your mind and heart drift away from the world into a soft space of stillness. Imagine now that you're standing on the edge of a shore looking over a beautiful, vast lake that seems to stretch for miles and miles and miles. In front of you is an exquisite boat. It can be the boat of your dreams, it's up to you. Whatever you imagine it to be, but sit somewhere comfortable and secure. And feel that boat as it drifts out into the center of the lake, slowly, quietly, leaving the shore of your life for a few moments. And as the boat continues to drift, you go even deeper into a state of relaxation, into a state of pure, sublime, beautiful peace, where your mind is as clear as the blue sky around you. And you begin to sense that light, that spirit, that divinity that you are. You sense this more and more as the world of situations disappears. And as your boat drifts deeper and deeper into the center of the lake, you begin to feel weightless, as if you've lost your form of flesh and bone. And all that's left is just still, pure, beautiful light, like sunlight pouring through your being. And you see now that you are close to the other shore. And it's an exquisitely beautiful place. It's very peaceful, very natural, very simple. And as you get to the other shore, you see on that land an extraordinary vision of yourself. An extraordinary vision of your beauty, your goodness, your light, your brilliance, your capacities. Allow yourself to see that vision of the extraordinary you. Notice the qualities that radiate from you. And as you see this vision of yourself, pick a few words that describe it. Luminous, perhaps, blissful. Pick a few words that describe the extraordinary you.
Serene, calm, helping, and helpful.
And now I'd like you to step towards that vision of yourself and merge with that extraordinary part of yourself. Step into it and feel yourself expand with vitality, with energy. Or perhaps it could be expanding into a deep silence and truth and peace, whatever it is for you. Allow that to fill you. And now ask yourself, what would happen if you saw that vision of yourself as extraordinary at least 2 or 3 times a day, if you took some time out to just visualize that part of you, and if you're having trouble connecting it as an exercise, you could always use your words that describe that part of you to activate the vision. You could say luminous, blissful, deeply loving. What would happen if you saw yourself in that light? And now step back in the boat as you feel just expansive and wonderful and extraordinary. And enjoy just relaxing that boat as you drift back to the shore of your life with a whole new vision of yourself. Just drinking in all that wonderful, pure light and spiritual energy. And feeling yourself slowly return to the world of activity, the world of form, flesh and bone and matter, but in a whole new way, knowing that when you change your vision of yourself, your whole world will dramatically shift, and a new phase of life will unfold. And that's why it takes such courage to access that light, because it will change everything. When you see yourself as the extraordinary, divine, brilliant child of God that you are, everything will change, and the life you've been dreaming of will begin to reveal itself to you in its own way, in its own wisdom, and in its own time. This simple exercise of seeing the extraordinary you, seeing yourself in amplified peace and amplified joy and amplified love 3 times a day for at least 5 minutes, can shift you to a whole new and beautiful place. See yourself pulling up on the shore in the boat, stepping off, feeling vibrant or peaceful, whatever the quality is that you experienced. And now return to your daily life with this light, prepared to create a whole new way of elevated spiritual living.
So that was a beautiful meditation, reminding us and offering us a beautiful practice that as we begin to give ourselves permission to really tap into that part of ourselves that's divinely created, that's very extraordinary, that's beautiful, that's bright and light, as we begin to tap into that, how it begins to shift things within us, our mindsets, our feelings and emotions, our perceptions of things, and it begins to open up a new capacity. So, to begin to operate from a new level requires this kind of a practice that I have to go back to again and again. And therein lies my dignity. I was reminded of a conversation that Dari Janki once had with a group of people. And Dadi was asked, she said, why do I make spiritual effort? Why do I, you know, for more than, I mean, when she passed away, she was 104 years old. So for at least 85 years of her life, she had been so committed to a spiritual path and a spiritual practice. And she said, why do I do it? And for her, it boiled down to one simple thing. It's a question of my dignity. Because the spiritual practice that I engage in builds up a capacity within me. And that capacity then enables me to not react to the things that are happening around me, but to maintain a quiet calm with which I can begin to access my deeper wisdom and then begin to respond to things. And therefore, to know that why do I take this moment of pause during my day? Why do I take the moment of just reminding myself I'm a soul, I'm not a body, that I'm divinely created, is so that it gives me the capacity to respond and not react. Because life will always throw us a challenge, always throw us a curveball. Something or the other will always come to challenge our state of being in that moment. But if I have a practice that I can always go back to, that practice then helps me not to react to all that comes in front of me. So that's the first thing. Dignity is very connected with aligning myself with my spiritual practices, because it is about recognizing that my sense of worth is in that I can come from a place of wisdom rather than reaction. And I was also remembering another aspect of it, and that is in the preamble of the United Nations Charter. It's written in there that it's about to reaffirm, I'm going to read it out so I get it right, to reaffirm faith in the dignity and worth of the human person. And why I thought it's important to almost like reflect on this, because dignity is inherent. It's inherent, it's innate, meaning that it is something that we are all worthy of. It's not something that we have to strive for, but it's inherent in the soul. The worth of the soul, the dignity of the soul that is based on its innate worth, is there always. And so what happens is that in body consciousness, or the consciousness of materialism, we tend to begin to measure our worth on physical things. But dignity is not dependent on external factors. Whether I have, 10 rands or 10 million, my worth is innate. It's not measurable by external things. And so I think that aspect of it is so important, because it takes away this need to prove. We live in a world where when we measure ourselves on external, aspects, we feel we need to measure up, we have to prove, we have to evaluate, we have to, some way or another begin to compare ourselves, etc. But dignity is inherent in the soul, which means I don't have to prove anything. I don't have to compare myself. I don't have to measure up to anything. I just have to learn to step in and be my true self. I have to return to who I really am. Um, and so it comes with that. My sense of worth is of who I am, not what I've become, not what I'm striving for, not what I'm trying to prove, but I am, and that I am is worth respect. That I am is worth being loved. That I am is enough. I don't have to become more. So I try to break up this word dignity in a way so that it's a way of saying, how do I choose dignity in every moment? And when I looked at the word D, I I came up with this word that I'm very fond of. It's a Hindi word called dharma. And dharma means, or the way I've understood it to be, dharma means principles, codes of conduct. It's the framework that I place for myself that guides me. And we will always be faced with choices in life. We will always be faced with different options. But what guides my choices? What guides the direction that I choose to take in any given moment? And that's what my Dharma is all about. It is about, what are the principles that I align myself by? And when I align myself, my choices, my actions, my words according to my principles, then what happens is that it it gives me a sense of something that I hold onto in myself, where I can draw my courage from, and that I know that I can live with myself in peace. Um, and so I found that in my own journey, there have been moments where I've been challenged, um, but I always felt that even if I have to step on my own, I had to um, take the path least approved by others. But I felt it was aligned with what I felt were my principles. It's like you go through a period where you would feel challenged, you'd feel alone, you'll feel a bit isolated. But out of that process, it's like there's a kind of feeling of strength that you draw from knowing that I lived my principles. And I've often seen that how life will ultimately begin to cooperate with you because you stood by higher principles and you didn't bend to the pressures around you. So I found that that was important, to always keep in mind that, take time to understand what are my deeper principles. I engaged in a little leadership program a few years back. And one of the things I really appreciated in that program was that to ask yourself, um, what is it that you will stand firmly on, and what is it that you will flex, you will accommodate, you'll be flexible with. And I think creating this distinction is important because there are certain principles that you can't compromise on. Um, and what are those principles? Is it a sense of equality? Is it a sense of truthfulness? Is it a sense of love and respect? Is it sense of honesty? What is like center for you in a way that you will not compromise on? And then there are other things that you can, become flexible with, accommodate others, etc. Sister Jayanti once put it nicely. She said, when it comes to principle, stand firm. When it comes to preference, be flexible. And I've used that as a guideline in terms of the work that I do. I stick to certain principles. And I find that at the end of the day, it's like it allows my own conscience to be free, and it really becomes the foundation for my own self-respect. So that's the first thing about recognizing what are my principles and what am I standing for, and knowing that my sense of self-worth, my dignity is based on to what extent I stand firmly on that. The second thing that I looked at was the I in dignity. And for me, the I in dignity is that to choose dignity at every moment requires to be introspective. I have to look inwardly to see what is the motivation and the intention in this moment. And it's something that we have to check moment by moment, because there are so many influences on us. And we have to learn to, it's only when we become introspective, then can we filter out the influences. Simple thing, you have a conversation with someone, and suddenly you begin to see that how that conversation with that individual begins to influence your attitude towards someone else, or creates a perception for you. So always to learn to filter out influences, and to filter out influences, I have to become introspective. So that is the I that I felt in dignity, to be always aware of. And as I said, influences can be very, very, very subtle. And it like colors or becomes like a shadow on the intellect, where you're not recognizing that you're not seeing things for what they truly are, but you're seeing through the eyes of another or the experience of another. Um, and that is something to be very mindful of. Um, don't let the experience of another become your experience. Always remain fresh and aware that we all have unique journeys. Someone put it very nicely, um, to say that my karma is different from your karma. So what you've experienced, let's say I have a relationship with someone and that person I find very difficult. And I tell you, oh, this person's very difficult. And you're going to have to work with that person. So if I told you that that person's very difficult, you almost sort of brace yourself for that difficulty. But to know that your karma with that individual is very different from my karma with that individual. So don't let my experience, my karma influence you. And so that's what I find, that introspection is important to see that am I free from influence? Because what happens is then these influences then leads to me not being really transparent and open, and also begins to create like a boundary, an unhealthy boundary between me and the other. So recognize influences and know that the more clean and clear I am, the more I can feel comfortable in my own skin, which is so important. For me, that's what dignity is also about, being comfortable with who I am and what I am and where I come from. The G. The G is generosity of spirit. And something that I learned from the readings of Brene Brown, some of you may be aware of Brene, but she's done extensive research on vulnerability and shame. And she has a book called Brave Leading, Leading with Brave, Lead with Braveness or something of that sort. And one of the things that she shares, which I really like in them, and that is that when you're dealing with people, assume the best. And that's the generosity of spirit. Because if I assume the best, it's like I will be open for communication. And we sort of conditioned to assume the worst. So we put up all these barriers. Whereas if we tilt it the other way, assume the best. And if you see someone behaving in a way that you feel, oh, that's, you know, um, not quite what I expected or whatever, because I assume the best, I would be say, okay, are you okay? Is there something up that's happening that you're not comfortable with? Whatever, you leave the doorway for communication open when you assume the best. And that's the generosity of spirit that we need for each other. I think in some ways, when we hold that idea that everyone has the best intentions, it's just that our capacities in expressing that intention is not all the same, or that we all do it in different ways that's not always in alignment with another person's expectations, but that the intent is good, then it actually helps us to create that ability for communication, which is key always. That when we are able to connect and speak from heart to heart, that's where we build bridges, and that's where we can also not only harmonize, but we can co-create something that's powerful. There's another aspect that I also would like to talk about here, and that is that when we hold that idea of that there's the best in others, like your whole, like, how can I draw the best in another? And that's the generosity of spirit that I need, that I know you're capable of amazing things. So when I hold that attitude towards another, it's like you are able to draw that energy. And in drawing that energy, there's so much more that we can co-create together. There's so much more richness that there is there to experience. So generosity of spirit plays a very important role in just helping all of us to raise the bar to something that's powerful and beautiful, and raise the bar to something that helps us all strive for the highest in ourselves. Then I looked at N in dignity, and for me, N represents being natural. Something that Sister Mohini, who's the additional administrative head of the university and is based between India and the USA, in one of her recent classes, and she talks about this very often, and that is that spirituality really is about, holding this attention on the self, being introspective, being loving, being soul conscious, but doing it in a natural way. And for me, the naturalness is coming back to that recognition. This is who I truly am. It's not about me trying to be something or me trying to acquire something, but this is who I truly am. And as I come back to this awareness that this is who I truly am, then it begins to um, become something that is sustainable. And for me, that's what naturalness does. That whatever spiritual effort I want to make or that I want to focus on, that it must be sustainable. And things can only be sustainable if they are natural. So to hold my internal dignity and to choose dignity in every moment is to know that that is my natural state of being. And so let me just flow into being that. Let me just flow into knowing that this is this is who I am, this is my strength, this is my honor, because that's what dignity is also about. It's what's my honor, what's um my value that I can see in myself. So the N represents that of being natural in everything that I do, um, and and just letting things flow rather than trying to force things to happen. Allow things to flow through you and around you as well. Um, the next one is I again, and something about dignity and it being inherent. I recognize it that it is also inherent in another. Every soul is worth my respect. Now, you may find that that is a difficult one because sometimes people behave in such ways that you think, but they're not worthy of my respect at this moment in time. And I found that one thing that is very important is to almost create that awareness. Every soul inherently deserves my respect. This behavior doesn't deserve my respect. The soul is good. You know, the soul has a tremendous potential, but there is some influence on the soul right now that's leading to a particular behavior that is not worthy of respect. And, you know, I'd like to share a little story here, but when the university first began, there were a community of about 300 of them living as a self-sufficient community. And among them were children as well that were studying the spiritual knowledge. They had a school set up for them so that they could, integrate their normal school with the spiritual study and create this lifestyle of spirituality. And when any of the children misbehaved, the other children will not say, oh, this one is misbehaving, this one's being naughty, whatever. But they will all look at their child and they will say, oh, look. Now, they would use the term Maya, and Maya means illusion. But it was almost, they would say, oh, look, Maya has come. And they would point out to the one who's being naughty. So it was almost in a way that their respect for each other was beyond the behavior. They knew that each one had a tremendous capacity, but they also acknowledged that there is an influence. And so I'm not going to let the influence overshadow who the individual truly is. And that requires a deep spiritual practice, a practice of deep soul consciousness, because it's something we have to always remind ourselves. The soul is good, but there is an influence here, and I mustn't let my respect for that soul be overshadowed uh, or be overcome by the behavior that I see right now. So it's to see through that and to go into what is eternal within the soul. So that then creates a very beautiful vision um, of respect and love. And to know that how I treat others and how I engage with others uh, will influence how I feel about myself. And that's what this aspect of dignity is all about, because what I'm projecting out there will influence what I feel inside, how I relate inside, how I experience inside, how I hold my own sense of self-respect inside. So just to know that, we begin to experience what we create, what we project, what we give attention to. That's what creates our own stage of self-respect and well-being. So to begin to be aware of that and take up this challenge of being generous in spirit and looking through and seeing what is eternal in the other, and connecting with that essence, rather than getting caught up in the obvious, but to look at what is eternal. And then we come to T, of dignity, and the T for me is about trust, um, and trust in the self, trust in the process of life as well, um, and trusting in a sense that, as I hold trust, I raise the energy. Um, think about it, that when there's trust between individuals, then what happens is that even though you may be facing a difficulty, but if there's trust, there's a capacity to find solutions together. But trust in the self is very deep, because trust in the self means that irrespective of what the challenge may be, or what the influence may be, or what the situation may be, but when I have trust, is like I I find the strength to walk through it. Um, it's like I know that I just take one step at a time in front of the other, and I'm able to walk through it. Don't give up, because there's that deeper trust, and trust in the process of life as well. Um, very often, one aspect that comes through the teachings is really having the faith that this drama of life is beneficial. And you can ask, but I mean, look at all the disasters that are happening. What's the benefit in there? It's because we look at things from a very small perspective, but there's a bigger story unfolding, and I have to trust that in the biggest scheme of things, there's reasons and there's purpose, and that there is some form of benevolence underlining it. Um, often in the Cape, when the wildfires happen, and it just seems like such a terrible destruction that happens. But we all know that it is in that intense heat of the fire that the fynbos, bursts open and the seeds are dispersed. And so as soon as the first rains come, there we see the whole landscape turning into a beautiful green growth again. And so that's it right now. When there's the intensity of the fire, there's the intensity of what seems like destructive energy around us. We can't see the benefit, but we have to trust that there's a bigger picture unfolding. And so I need to keep myself aligned with what is true, what is what are the deeper principles that support me, um, keep the generosity of spirit in my heart open, because all of that is what will support me to walk through with courage, whatever the change that we may see around us. And then finally, coming to why, and I couldn't quite think of a word with why. So I just thought that why could stand for just being a yogi. And to me, yogi means live with that deeper connection and relationship with the divine. We have to take care of our hearts. And taking care of our hearts means holding that relationship of love and allowing myself to be nurtured by pure, unconditional love. And so, yoga, connection, relationship with the divine is what will always sustain the heart. And the sustenance of that heart, when the heart is full, and when I feel the heart being cared for in that regard, then there's a natural sense of self-worth. And that is what the basis of my dignity is. When the heart doesn't feel full, I look outward for my sense of self-worth. And that is when I give my power away to people, to situations and things. So it's in nourishing this relationship with the divine that the heart would be feeling full and content, and that fullness and contentment is what will then lead to um, a sense of deep self-worth, a self-worth that is not influenced and affected by things around me, but a self-worth that's stable, so that no matter what happens, I know I'm okay, and I can respond with a calmness and a clarity and a wisdom that comes from a deep sense of self-worth. Okay, so these were my thoughts on this topic, and I'd like to give a little bit of time now. If you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or you're also welcome to write it in the chat and we can take up a few of these ideas further. Or if you have some comments and inputs on the topic, that would be also lovely to hear. Thank you. Anyone, any thoughts?
Om Shanti, it's Riona here. I'd just like to share my gratitude in attending this very first session and gathering and embracing so much of self-love from it. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it and feeling very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's so important that we take these moments just to reflect on some ideas so that we can, just steer ourselves from a place of feeling overwhelmed by what happens around us to recognizing that there is strength within us that we need to just reconnect with and celebrate. Okay, anyone else would like to share? Anyone in
Hi,
the chat?
Pratyura.
Hi, Jacqueline.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Pratibha, just on the aspect of being natural. So, this is something that I've been kind of exploring in my spiritual journey, and the change that comes with the journey. And I think with the change, there are certain elements that is now different, and does not necessarily feel it feels natural to you, to myself, but not necessarily to people in my environment. And I think it is sometimes interesting, to put it that way, for people to look at you and think of you as not so natural, because
Mm,
that was not your former behavior. Um, but the change is for good, obviously, and that's what you want to maintain. Um, yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily a question. I guess it's more of an expression, just to say that people view you differently when there's a new natural,
mm,
so to speak. Yeah. And I've also read on, well, listened to a clip by Dr. Joe Dispenza on um, unbecoming in order for you to become, you know.
mm,
And I think that is also something that I'm exploring in terms of becoming of or getting to my true essence. And yeah, so just saying that that's a very wonderful journey for me.
mm,
Yeah.
mm. It,
Um,
it's beautiful what you're sharing, Jackie, because I think my own experience has been as well that um, when you make those changes, um, people do feel uncomfortable because they're not used to seeing those changes in you. And sometimes the discomfort as well is because you a reminder of what would be good for them as well. And so that's where the discomfort comes from as well. But I found that just being light and easy, but keeping clear to what I know is serving me right now and what is supporting me is important because at some point or another, what I do for me um, not only anchors me and strengthens me and deepens my own practice, but at some point or another, um, others will draw support from that, which I have built within me as a capacity through my own spiritual practice. So I found that that was important. Not to get influenced because others don't find what I'm doing as natural or uncomfortable with it, but just to be light, easy, and continue because at some point or another they will take strength from that. And it's also like, you know, when we create those shifts and when others can see the benefit of it, it inspires, you know. So that initial um, challenge of perhaps them seeing it not as being natural is just also, it's like their old perceptions are needing to melt. So you just have to give time for that. But then it also becomes something that inspires others to make shifts for themselves as well. So it serves in both ways. Yeah.
Thanks, Pratibha.
Okay. So there's a question here by Rubendri. Is there a question to ask ourselves to know whether we are acting from a place from dignity or not in everyday moments? Um, I think for me, the question always to ask is that, am I coming from a place of my deeper principles, or am I coming from a place of influence? And that always helps me to steer myself to see that, because when I come from a place of principles, my deeper principles, that's where my dignity is aligned. And when I come from a place of influence, I lose myself into the influence. So I lose my self-worth to that influence. And so that for me is the question to always check for myself, especially when I need to make significant decisions, always to check, is this based on principle or is this based on influence? And give myself the time to honestly introspect and check on that. Okay, anyone else? Okay, Karabo said she found the principles and preferences distinction to be insightful. Yeah, great. Thanks. Okay. So I think we are all content. Good. If there's no more questions, then let's end off with a meditation. Thank you for your attention, and I hope this evening session was useful for you. Okay, thank you.
A new day opens in my heart. A brighter way is here to start. With every thought, with every choice, I hear the wisdom in my voice. I choose what makes my spirit clear. I walk with courage, love and care. The good within begins to rise. A peaceful strength comes alive. Awaken the best in me. Let my heart live happily. Lighten my thoughts, love in my way. Sharing some goodness every day. Steady and calm, gentle and free. I awaken the best in me. Each person walks a path their own. Each life has seeds that they have sown. I give them space, I let them grow, and keep my heart peaceful and whole. I bring more kindness where I go. I share the happiness I know. A caring word, a peaceful mind can leave a brighter world behind. Awaken the best in me. Let my heart live happily. Light in my thoughts, love in my way. Sharing some goodness every day. Steady and calm, gentle and free. I awaken the best in me. I care for what I think and do. I keep my values clear and true. I give to life, I care for me. Creating balance naturally. My thoughts grow clean, my heart grows light. My inner world becomes more bright. With every step I come to see the highest life begins in me. Awaken the best in me. Living with joy and clarity. Peace in my heart, light in my way. Growing a little every day. Steady and calm, gentle and free. I awaken the best in me.
Thank you, and good night, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
thank you
night.
so much. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.